Hello dear learners, I welcome you all to this module which is titled Grammar in Context. So this module 11, which is Grammar in Context, it is part of the overall MOOC on Introduction to Functional English. Up to module number 10 you have already done. So let us do a sort of a brief recap of the previous modules. So we have learned various ideas of communication, different aspects, different channels of communication, various aspects of communication skills, how communication skills can be made more effective through the acquisition of some of these linguistic skills. Today's module number 11 is Grammar in Context, and at the beginning of this module I am going to spell out very clearly the objectives to understand the importance of correct grammar in communication, to know the difference between grammaticality and appropriateness, to learn the different means of eliciting information, to learn some question patterns in English, to learn the use of auxiliary verbs in framing questions, to learn the use of WH question words in framing questions. So dear friends, these are the clear-cut 6 objectives which we have outlined for today's model. Now we begin with grammaticality. What is grammaticality? Now there are theoretical perspectives on this term, that is grammaticality. But we are not really going to take up those theoretical issues, primarily because this is a course on functional aspects of English, on functional aspects of the language. So grammaticality for you, for us, for this entire course means consistent use of grammatically correct, grammatically acceptable sentences or utterances during communication or in communication. Now what does it imply? What does it mean? What it subsumes, in another word, it subsumes, you see, correct spelling, right? Now you might be wondering why it's in a slightly advanced course like this, why am I telling you about spelling? Spelling is a very tricky, or rather should I say, it's a very slippery area. All of us, we think that spelling is nothing, no, but try, I will give you some, you try yourself. Say bureaucracy, even simple ones like occasion, possess. So spelling, this is, it might seem basic, it might seem fundamental, but I tell you it's a slippery area, so be alert, be cautious. So correct spelling is subsumed under this what we understand as grammaticality, the consistent use of grammatically correct sentences or utterances. Then another that it subsumes is the subject-verb complement. The next is use of appropriate determiners, prepositions, articles, etc. Correct and distinctive pronunciation. Now this course, within its ambit, it does not really consider the improving the sort of pronunciation of the learners, but one thing, the functional aspect of your communication in English language be more effective, I think you need to pick up, you need to slightly gravitate towards a model of pronunciation through which people can identify and very distinctly understand what you are saying, what you are pronouncing. Broadly, these are the 4 broad areas: correct spelling, subject-verb complement, use of appropriate determiners, preposition, articles, etc., and correct and distinctive pronunciation. So as I told you, now let me go and take up one by one in great details. Now let's take up this subject-verb complement. What is this subject-verb complement? Also sometimes referred to as subject-verb agreement, subject-verb concord. Also, the term concord is also sometimes used. Now it basically refers to the agreement between the subject and the verb. Now I am using subject and the verb. If I just kind of brush up whatever you learnt in your school and college days, Okay, if I try to connect with your previous learning, then you will know that traditionally a sentence is divided into subject and a predicate. Okay, but more advanced forms of grammar, they say subject and the verb. So there has to be agreement. What is this agreement? Okay, what is this agreement? Okay, you might be wondering, well, agreement happens between two persons, between two parties, between two say teams, between two nations or countries. What is this agreement between subject of a sentence and the verb of that particular sentence? Okay, this agreement, yes, there is agreement regarding number and persons. Now let us say I am a good boy, I is a good boy, I are a good boy. Okay. Now these are the three sentences. If I ask you that tick the one which is incorrect, there is more than one incorrect. Exactly. Okay. I should have asked you tick two which are incorrect, or rather may I ask you that tick the one which is correct. What is the answer? Exactly. The answer is I am a good boy. Why not is? He is a good boy, she is a good girl. Okay. Why it is not here? Okay. They are good boys, they are good students, they are good learners. Okay. So this is what is called, okay, that the subject, which is the subject of the sentence here, I, the subject agrees with the verb. What is the verb? Am, which is a form of the be verb. Okay. So whereas it is I am, right, he, she, is, you, we, they, etc., they take are. Okay. So there is this agreement between what it says, number, whether the subject is singular or plural, and person, first person, second person, third person. Okay. I have, but she has. Okay. I, first person, singular, I. So it takes that particular have verb, I have, but she has. Again they have, we have. Okay. I do, but he does, she does. Again they do, we do. Okay. So here what you are saying is I do, but he does. The number is same, that is I as well as he, both are singular, but I is first, he is third. So this is what is actually meant by subject verb complement, and this is one very important area of consideration in English grammar. And dear friends, if you really want to improve your English, you want to improve your communication, this you really can't neglect, you can't miss out. Okay, so this is then continuing with this. Okay, there is that verbs have many forms. Basically verbs in English, they have 5 forms. One of the form is called the S form, or the third person singular present tense form. Okay, which is used with he, does. Okay, right, walks, cries, flies, teaches, learns. Okay, this is the S form of the verb, which is used with exactly when the subject is third person and singular, right? So here I think all of you just need to be slightly more cautious, you just need to be slightly more alert. Okay? Important thing, however, to mark is that spelling changes. Okay? It doesn't matter when you are in conversation, but when you are writing, okay, it matters. Okay, so see, do becomes plus es, it becomes does. Teach, es becomes walk, learn, talk, etc., jump, etc., simply they take s. Okay, cry, I is replaced by ies. Okay, so this is something that I think you need to be slightly more alert about. Okay, now the use of articles. You might be wondering that why this kind of basic things, but as I've said, this is quite a slippery ground. Articles, there are 3 A, N, and D. Okay, the way it is taught in our schools. Okay, it is all very fine. Okay, there's no problem with that. Just you need to be slightly aware. You need to be more cautious about its use. For instance, though our it begins with the letter H, which is normally considered to be a consonant, okay, but it takes the indefinite article N are an honest person. Okay, U is one of the 5 vowels. That's what we have been taught, and our children are taught. Even my children, they are taught in school, right? U, but it's a university, it's a unit. Okay? I'm not going to go into the details. It's basically related to pronunciation. I think some of you do understand that. Okay, one particular area where I have myself experienced, learners, students, they sort of find difficulty. MA, which article it takes? N. My sister is an MA in history. Okay, my uncle is an MP, an MLA, an MLC. Okay, so this you should be slightly careful about. The definite article, the. Okay, the definite article. Okay, you should also be very careful about the use of the definite article. This is one common mistake that I detect in the students. The incorrect use of the definite article. Okay, so you must learn the different contexts of the use of the. Okay, let's take these examples. The Prime Minister, the President, the King. Fine. Okay, Prime Minister Modi, President Biden, King Charles. Fine, but this is not fine. What? The Prime Minister Modi, the President Biden, the King Charles. Okay, so this is not fine. These are just sort of aspects, different aspects of grammaticality, different aspects of English grammar that I am kind of trying to point out. This is basically connecting, and it's a sort of refreshing your memory so that it goes on to make your communication much more effective and fruitful. Okay. Then another area which is slightly problematic for many learners is what? Right, prepositions. Exactly. Okay, and this is a stock question, right? Preposition, fill up the blanks with appropriate prepositions. As I've said, this is one of the trickiest areas of English grammar. John arrived home in Christmas. John arrived home on Christmas. Okay. Now, what do you think? Do you think there is only one correct answer to this? Do you have any problem? Anyone has any problem if John arrives home after Christmas? So, one thing you need to remember is that just because there is a question which has been printed on a question paper and it's a question on English grammar doesn't mean that it can have only one correct response. Okay, I want to draw your attention to see when it is a particular day or date, on Monday evening, on Christmas, when it's 25th of December. Okay, but if it refers to the entire season, because Christmas is that entire holiday season, so then it becomes in. You see different times of the day, in the evening but at night, in summer, winter. Take another example. Okay, one question that is commonly asked, okay, is supply suitable preposition. Okay, what is? He was looking dash his keys. Keys, K-E-Y-S. He was looking dash his keys. Okay. The answer that immediately comes to mind is what? He was looking for his keys. A student had written, instead of for, had written at. So he was looking at his keys. Grammatically this is correct. You can't mark this wrong. Okay. Take another instance. You supply the preposition. Okay. The old man stood dash the shade of the tree. Most of the times the response is under the shade of the tree, but that's not correct. Okay, what is correct? Exactly, in the shade of the tree. You stand under a tree, but you stand in the shade of the tree. Okay, some other examples like reached by bus. Okay, when you arrive, okay, how do you travel? By bus, but on foot. By bus, but on foot. Okay, so just keep those things in mind. So see, grammaticality basically, as I've said, refers to the consistent use of grammatically correct sentences or utterances, right? What then is appropriateness? Right? Now, let's look at the sentence that we had already considered. He was looking for his keys. Here, for actually is what is called a verbal particle. Okay, so that's the most common, and keys is something that habitually we tend to misplace. Okay, so when you are in a hurry to reach your workplace or to reach your institution, and you are searching for something, your mother or father or your brother or sister comes and asks you, hey, what are you looking for? I'm looking for my keys. That's the most response. And he was looking at his keys. It's grammatically, everything is correct. In fact, at as a preposition most readily goes with look. We always look at something, but then looking at his keys is somewhat unusual. Okay, it's not inappropriate, but it is somewhat unusual. Okay, right. Take examples of there are verbs like watch and see. Okay, watch and see. So I asked a student, okay, where were you yesterday? So I was seeing a movie. The other student said, I was watching a movie. Okay. Tell me which is more appropriate. Watching, exactly. Okay, right? Watching, right? So these are some of the areas you see that grammatically correct, but they are not really appropriate to the context. Okay. Now take the word group. Okay, group. Okay, group means number together. Okay, but then would you say a group of cows? Would you say that? Okay, no. What you will say? Yes, herd of cows. Exactly. A group of birds. You will say no, a flock of birds. So this collective noun. Okay, this collective noun. So you have to. And it has already been stressed as part of your different modules that you need to enrich your vocabulary so that you are in command of vocabulary from where you can draw and use the appropriate word in the context. Okay, the adjectives. Now see, look at fat, thick, wide or broad. Okay, they more or less they more or less carry a similar sort of, I'm not saying same, but they carry similar sort of meanings. Okay, but then fat is used for what? A man, a fat man, a fat person, a fat woman, even a fat book. Okay, thick, thick is thick wood. Thick is used for liquids also. Okay, thick syrup, right? Wide, broad, they are used for roads. Okay. Wide roads, broad passage, right? There is an expression called blonde hair. Okay, an expression of blonde hair. Okay, I am cricket buff. Okay, test cricket buff, right? I'm mostly a test cricket buff, and one of my all-time favorite players, happens to be Shane Warne. And this is a word. Blonde is a word which was most often used with the color of his hair. Okay, so even if the color of your dress or the color of the door is exactly the same color, you don't say a blonde dress or a blonde. Okay, so these are what I'm saying appropriateness of language. Okay, so see, grammaticality is one thing that you should be grammatically correct and acceptable, but at the same time you have to graduate from that level and go to the level of what? Appropriateness. And the combination of these two will really make your communication much more effective. So after grammaticality and appropriateness of language, okay, which I am sure will be very helpful in making your communication effective. Okay, let us go to one of the most important functions of language. What is that? Eliciting information. Okay, whether you are at the airport, at the railway station, whether you are in the bank. Okay, eliciting information is really one of the most important functional aspects of language. Now, what does it require? Okay, it requires you should be very clear. There should be clarity as to what you want to know. Okay, and based on that, you have to structure your question accordingly. Okay, so I will now try and tell you, okay, the different types of questions which will elicit different kinds of responses. Okay, now questions in English can be classified into two types. Okay, one those which are answered, or those which can be answered by simple yes or no. Are they playing? Yes, no. Okay. Were there many people? Yes, no. Don't you want to eat? Yes, no. Okay. And those which are not answered simply by yes or no, they need some specific answers. Where are the students going? Okay. Why are the stairs dirty? How did the other team win? Okay, right. Let us look at the first yes no questions. Okay. And primary auxiliaries, they play an extremely important role in the formation of this yes no questions. Okay. The be verb, I will take the examples of the be verb and the have verb. Okay. The be verb, be verb has different forms: is, am, are, okay, where, was, etc. All these are different forms of the be verb. Okay, right. So are they going? Is he a nice guy? Were they happy? Was the coach present? Look at all this. You can answer them simply in yes or no. Was the coach present? Yes. Then look at the next have. Have you a bag? Has he a big house? Had you no helpers? Okay. It can simply be answered in yes or no. But yes, one thing might be slightly, passing through your mind now. It is have you a bag? Had you no helpers? Maybe to many of you might seem slightly or somewhat unusual. Okay, the more usual is maybe do you or didn't you have any helpers, right? So I'm coming to that. Okay, now I'm coming to the next auxiliary, that is do. Okay, do can be used with principal verbs, okay, to form questions, right? Does he live in Shillong? Again, the answer can be yes or no. Do they know the Sharmas, the Gogois, okay, the Malhotras? Again, the answer is yes or no. Do you still like him? Okay. The answer again yes or no. And do can also be used with auxiliaries, okay, right? It can also be used with auxiliaries. We took have you a bag? Do you have a bag? Have you a spare pen? Do you have a spare pen? Okay. Have you a passport? Has he a passport? Does he have a passport? Right? Did the convict have a brother? So see, do can be used with principal verbs to form questions which seek answers in either yes or no. Do can also be used with auxiliaries to seek answers, to frame questions seeking answers in either yes or no. And why only primary? In fact, model auxiliaries which will be the focus of your next module, that is module 12. Okay, model auxiliaries, they are also used to form sentences, interrogative sentences seeking answer in either yes or no. Okay, and this is very important. Okay, this is very. If you really want to know that whether somebody is capable of doing something or not, which model auxiliary would you use? Correctly, can. Can he swim? Okay. Can she dance? Okay. Right. In other words, does he know how to swim? Okay. Ability. Asking for, seeking permission. May I come in? May I go? Okay, that's quite common, right? Then the use of other model auxiliaries in formation of questions which can be answered in yes no. Will the guest come tomorrow? Need I help you? Okay. Could you please open the window? This, however, is more of a sort of a request, right? Exactly. Shall we leave tomorrow? Okay. And as part of this, let me also tell you about the tag questions. She is a lovely lady, isn't she? Right? Now, isn't she here? It actually is not meant, this question tags are not meant to seek specific answers or yes no sort of answers. They are basically to seek the agreement or confirmation of the person to whom that has been addressed. Okay. So broadly, see, one or two points that you need to note while using auxiliary verbs to frame questions which seek answers in yes or no. One, don't use double past markers. Did the boss call you? Right. Not did the boss call you. Double past. Did called. No. Did the convict have a brother? Yes. Right. Okay. but don't say, did the convict had a brother? No, don't use double past markers. This is a mistake that habitually students and learners they make or commit. Okay. Then second is use of the contracted negative in questions. Okay. Now look at this or hear this. Is he not sincere? Is he not sincere? Not comes after he, that is the subject. Okay. But if you use the contracted form is not, isn't, then isn't he sincere? Did the boys not play? Didn't the boys play? Now, the other questions, now let us look at the second type of interrogative sentences or second type of questions which do not seek answers in either yes or no, but they have different sort of answers, and for them mostly we use words, okay, which are generally referred to as WH question words. Okay? WH question words. All of you know that. Who? Who is that lady? Okay. Whom? Whom do you want to meet? Then whose? Whose is the possessive of who? In other words, meaning whom. Whose watch is this? Okay. Whose books are these? What? What is used for things and also used for a person's profession. That is very important. Okay. What did they learn? What did you learn? What is his mother? Means what does his mother do? What's her profession? Okay. So this I think should be pretty important from the functional point of view. Which is used for both person and things. Which of them is the best? Okay. You identify from a group. Which book do you want? Okay. Why? Why seeks to know the reason or the purpose? Okay. Why are you late? Why aren't you paying attention? Okay. Why haven't you finished your work? Well, pretty easy, it sounds. When? When seeks to know the time or the occasion. When did they go? Okay. Or even occasion. When he will be back. Not exactly time. When he will be back. Say during Holi. Okay. So that's a season. Right? Where? It seeks to know at what place or position. Okay. Where do you stay? Where shall we be? Not exactly place. Suppose we are talking about, hypothetically talking about our future, and somebody in the course of the conversation might ask, where shall we be then? Where shall we be? Okay? So that's a position. In what position, okay? In what situation we shall be there, and how? How, of course, seeks to know in what way, or even manner or condition. How did he get there? Or simply ask you, and this is one of the most commonly used sentences. How are you? Seek to know the manner or the way, but seeks to know the condition. Okay. Now, there is not much of a difference, okay, but generally, whom is considered to be more formal, okay, and who is used more often in conversations. Now look at the sentences. Whom did she teach? Who did she teach? Whom did you meet? Who did you meet? Okay. So whom is slightly more formal, and who is used more in conversations. You see the functional difference between who and whom. One more thing to notice about the use of who and whom at the beginning to frame questions. If the question has to take a preposition, where would the preposition be placed? Now, listen to these two sentences. With whom did you go? Next sentence, who did you go with? First sentence, with whom did you go? Preposition at the beginning, before whom? Second sentence, who did you go with? Preposition at the last. Okay. So when you use it, remember these points. So friends, as we conclude this module, we must have learned that 1. Grammatical correctness plays an important role in both oral and written communication. 2. Appropriateness of uses makes communication effective or more effective. 3. To elicit particular response, we need to frame the questions accordingly or in that way. 4. Okay. The use of auxiliary verbs and the use of WH words in framing questions. Friends, I hope that you like this module. The next module will be models in conversation. So till then, see you again. Take care.